Hey, good evening, everybody, and welcome to another edition of Biz Talk, the show for entrepreneurs and aspiring, existing entrepreneurs and business owners. My name is Adeyeba. I'm your host who will be taking you through proceedings. Here's a quick thing. I'm just going to share a quick thing as well. Like sometimes when I listen to that music, right, like the intro, I start like partying and stuff. I think it's because like for about a year and a half, I haven't been allowed out clubbing and stuff. So maybe post June, I'll be all right when I get into bang and be like, yay, and then afterwards be like back to normal as well. But anyway, enough about that. Hope everybody's getting on well, enjoying this lovely weather that we have.
Yep.
Fortunately, the sun's been out and it snowed and it's rained, so we're getting a complete season as we always do. But enough about that, because today I have a heavy hitter on the show. We have many heavy hitters, and this guy is another heavy hitter. We met, I think, about 2 years. No, it's hard. I always find it hard nowadays to actually gauge timelines
Two
because
years ago, 2018.
there you go. COVID has just erased everything for me right now. I struggle to remember when what's what. I haven't got many reference points other than
It took
yeah.
a year, COVID. It took a
Yeah,
year.
there you go. Anyways, yeah, so we met at a personal development event, and we'll be talking about that. And once again, he stood out for me for his character, the way he carried himself, the level of integrity, but also the wisdom and support he was able to provide, not just to myself, to many other people in the room. But we'll get deeper into all of that shortly. First of all, please join me in welcoming Mr. Ademola Adeyeba to the show,
Hey,
also known as
hey.
Ade.
Hi everyone. So there's two Ades on the line. So this is Ademola. Ademola, great to be on. Thank you for having me. And yeah, do you know what? Literally, as your intro music was playing, I was just like that in the background as well. I was just like, I like this. I like this song. I like this song. So yeah, you're not alone.
Okay, good. Great stuff. So, thank you for. So, I'm going to be calling you Ade from here onwards because that's what I naturally call you. So, it's going to be
Okay.
Ade. It's going to be. I mean, I'm used to talking to myself. So, at least this time, I've got like
Someone's
a bit
talking
of
back.
everything. Well, yeah. Definitely so. So, for those who are watching right now, just tell us a little bit about yourself, please.
Yeah, sure, definitely. So so the name is Ademola Adeyeba, with a slight accent on both the first and surname. Many places I could start in terms of business. So I'm a Forbes featured entrepreneur. We're featured in Forbes last year for how we pivoted during the lockdown and during the pandemic. So we got featured in Forbes for doing that. I'm also a leading mindset coach. So I do lots of work on mindset transformation and leadership. It's very, very important. And I want to lead leaders in that field based on the work that I've done over the last 6 years or so. The company that I trained with, I was the number one trainer out of about 400 in Europe at that time. And I progressed to another level where I was one of four. I led the program about self-expression, about leadership. So I was one of four in Europe and one of about 200 in the world. So when it comes to human development, coaching, and what is fundamental to performance, I'm an expert at that. So that's given me the boldness to go out and literally start two companies. So one of my companies is called Hench, or one of them is called Hench. So people normally hear that and they might think all about just like biceps and six pack stuff. Yeah,
Bro, push it.
yeah. But we're literally about this. So Hench. So how do we have the most important muscle in the human body work in line with you? So work with you rather than against you. So that's what we mean. So we work with entrepreneurs, founders, business owners, business professionals that maybe they're not business owners, but they want to progress in their careers or they want to navigate office politics, get the next pay rise. We work with them to make that happen, to make that a reality. Or those who work full time and have a side hustle. So we work with them on how they can transition. And a really exciting thing as well. So that's really exciting. We now do work with young people as well. So 10 to 25-year-olds. So how we can give that learning to somebody who's 12, 13 or 10. Really exciting. And how we do that with their parents. So that's one company. So that's Hench. My second company is 1000 Black Boys. So we do work to have young Black boys, young Black men aged 10 to 25 years old, really live a life of purpose. So we have a purpose-focused, purpose-centered approach to the challenges that young Black boys, young Black men face. And we also work with them and their parents. So that's a quick intro to Ademola Adeyeba.
Awesome. All right. Well, thank you very much for that. And a number of the things that you spoke about there throughout this conversation, we'll have an opportunity to delve a little bit deeper into them. So I know you spoke about being a mindset coach. What does that mean for somebody who's never heard of that term
Yeah.
before?
So let me really break it down this way, right? Because you're right, really great question. So mindset coach, think about it this way, that your mind goes with you everywhere that you go. It's with you 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 or 366 for the rest of your life. It impacts how you deal with success, impacts how you deal with the news, impacts how you deal with relationships, impacts how you deal with feedback that you might view as criticism. It impacts all of that. So I work with people to have their mind work in line with them so that their thoughts don't fight against them, but that it works in line with what they want. So let's say, for example, somebody says that they want to lose weight, right? They're like, I'm really committed to losing weight. And they start their fitness routine on Monday. And then by Wednesday, the routine is out the window. Pardon this analogy. They're eating lots of cakes. They're just drinking all kinds of fizzy drinks. So that means that their commitment on Monday was gone come Wednesday. It was sabotaged. So what I do with people is I have their commitment, I have their mind work in line with their commitment. So literally like it goes in one direction rather than it's opposing. So when I say mindset coach, it's about having people's minds work in line with what they want in life. That's about like the simplest way I can think about it. And I see other simpler ways come up in this conversation.
Of course, definitely so. And the way that I can totally relate to that. And I guess the way that I also like to explain it is in effect similar, which is everything that we do, everything that we experience in this lifetime happens with it. It's a kind of inside out approach.
Totally.
Therefore, if we can learn how this works, how we manage this, it's a bit like a laptop, right? You put in the right software, you get the right output, right? If you haven't got the right software, you download it and then it runs on your system and makes it happen. So in effect, it's the work that goes into us reprogramming our mind so we can achieve the outcomes that we want in life. And
100%.
to me,
If I can say this as well, so let me give you an example for me when I talk about having your mind work in line with what you want. So 2019, I've got 20 years experience of working in business. So building businesses and working with sales teams, sales director with different companies. But there was this real passion of mine to run my own businesses and to do things that really inspires people. And when I say that, so there was many days when I'm walking towards the office. So I'm well paid. I'm a sales director, well paid, making lots of money. That team is doing really, really well. And I'm about to open the door to the office, and there's just this sense of,
I know.
a dull ache. The sense of there is more to me than this. This isn't it. There's more to me than this. And then because of the work that I'd done, I was able to literally tell the place that I was working that I'm going to go part-time. They agreed to it. And then from part-time, I resigned and I left that place on the 13th of December, 2019, was a Friday. And the following day, the 14th of December, 2019, a Saturday, we launched our first sessions. So my mind was working in line with what I wanted. And I didn't get stuck with, if I go into my business full time by myself, what was the guaranteed paycheck at the end of the month? Or what if it doesn't work? What if it fails? But there's Tony Robbins, there's Eric Thomas, like who are you? I could have been stuck with that and not moved forward. Because of the work that I've done, because of the people around me, I was able to literally see what I wanted to achieve and get the thoughts, get the fears, the anxieties, the concerns, the logical thinking, get all that out of the way and go for what I wanted. So I do that for people, with people.
Awesome, and that's great. I really love that real, tangible example for the people who are listening out there, because we all have fears, right? Fears about, I mean, I'm sure there are many people who are watching this, and at some point you've had an idea or you have an idea And that idea could be the key to the future and the life that you want to create for yourself. But if you're anything like me, you'll also, when along with those ideas, and especially if it's something you've never done before, there'll potentially be all these other thoughts that pop up that I'm not good enough, I'm not old enough, I'm too old, I'm too this, I'm too that, which actually stops us from moving forward. And actually, this work is really about how do we take captive those thoughts, control them so that they don't override us. In fact, we get to override them and use them to help us to achieve the outcomes that we want. So here's a question I've got for you as well, Ade. How did you first get involved in personal development? Because that's kind of what we're talking about as here as well, right? Personal
Yeah,
development.
yeah. If it's okay, Ade, can we call it self-development?
Call it whatever, whatever we label it is fine.
Awesome. So I first got involved with self-development, and I just talk about the distinction as well. Is without realizing I was always in it, right? So like I said, I've got a background of working in sales. I joined the sales industry when I was 19. This is back in 1999. You can kind of guess my age. And
I don't know how you did that. Awesome.
and literally, I got given a bill by my university of, I remember it. It was £1,000. It was £1,025. It was 1025. I got a check from the university, and my local education authority weren't going to pay it. My parents live in Nigeria, so they weren't going to pay it. My sister she's got her own commitments. So who was going to pay it? Me. But I was 19. I was so that money back in 1999, that was a lot of money. And I was thinking, how on earth is this going to work? Like, where is this going to disappear into? So that led me into the sales industry. And in that sales industry, there were so many times. So we were doing cold calling. We'd go through like phone book and call people up and say, hey, I'm doing this. I see you do this. I think what we do would be of interest to you. Like, let's talk. So some people will talk to you. Some would say, we don't take unsolicited sales calls. Bam. So then there were so many occasions where I'm dealing with my concern about picking up the phone. And I'm already calculating and analyzing, what if they say no to me? What if this person hangs up? How would I feel about that? I don't want to hear another no. I got a no yesterday. Blah, 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 blah. What if this person is really rude to me? So having to deal with that concern and act anyway was already a journey towards self-development. So getting past my internal conversation, my internal state, my internal dialogue and act was already the journey towards self-development. And I really progressed in that industry. I progressed really quickly, and then now got to a stage, around about 2006, I was given a promotion and I became a sales manager. And I now had people that reported into me, and I was responsible for their careers. And my mentor, people told me this for years, and I was just like, I haven't got time for that stuff. People were saying to me, you should start reading books. You should read a book about the 7 habits of highly effective people. Read a book about the Ken Blanchard series, like the Woman Manager book series. And I was just like, no, I'm really busy. But then when I became a manager, I started to read this stuff. And I thought to myself, oh my days, why didn't I start this earlier? Like so much gold dust and gems in these books about how to regulate my thoughts, regulate myself, how to handle, interact with other people. And at that time, as I was progressing, one of my team members asked me something along the lines of, to be a manager, what's the most important thing? And I said, you are the most important thing. So they're like, what do you mean? I said, your perception to your colleagues, your perception to yourself, your perception to the email from the MD and how you respond to it, your perception to the email from a client, that's kind of saying, I'm interested, but your price is too high. So how do you engage with that client is through yourself and literally your perspective to it. And then, cut a long story short, in my sales journey, I had a colleague that did a course. It was like the course was brilliant. He came into work on a Monday and he was super pumped about this course. And he said self-development. And I was like, I like self-development. Yeah. He said, come along. They've got a free session. So I went along to this course in self-development purely for myself and just to find out more about, well, what can I get from this course? And this was 2014. So after that journey, literally of like developing, doing it by myself, getting it wrong, failing, learning, growing, learning, growing. 2014, I did this course, did the first part of it, incredible. Second part of it, also incredible. And I just went with it and literally went from being somebody who was in the course to then becoming somebody who delivered parts of that company's programs and who trained other people, was where my journey really accelerated. So I'd say in terms of self-development, I'd always been doing it. 1999, when I joined the sales industry, it started to literally like increase. And 2014 is literally where it went.
Exponential growth. Definitely so. And I always do believe that cold sailing, whether it's door to door, so if anybody who's been part of those whatever it was, because I used to do door to doors for charities and all of that.
The phone to door.
Yeah, bro. We used to do door to door. Yeah, you get a patch. You get a number of doors that you got. Do you know what I mean? And I guess that's where I started learning. And that's, like I said, it's quite interesting. Quite a lot of people seem to start their journey in that space. And it's very challenging, but it's very character building, because one of my biggest fears was fear of rejection. Didn't want to hear no. But guess what? When you knock on somebody's door and they're about having tea, you're lucky if you get a no. Sometimes you're going to get a right and all of that. But after a while, you get used to it, because you know that, okay, I've got targets to meet, and it helps you to deal with some of those things that you're talking about. And I love the fact that you spoke about actually reading. Some of the books you mentioned there were really great. I remember the first personal development book was given to me. It was called Shut Up and Stop Whining. The guy was my multi-level marketing mentor from South Africa. He came up to me and he said, "Hey, Ade, this is right up your street." And he was right, because when I saw that title, I'm like, okay, I like this. And that kind of got me going. And then the next book I think I read was James Allen, As a Man Thinketh, I think it was. And that's when I was like, oh, so it's here. You mean this is what creates everything that we see out there? What would you say to somebody, because I've had some of these conversations from time, self-development, mind work is brainwashing. You know, when you go to these events, oh, they're just brainwashing. What would you say to somebody who that might be their initial opinion of self-development?
Interesting point. I would probably just ask them, I'd be like, interesting take on it. I would ask them, well, what do you want in life? Like, what are you committed to in life? Because whether or not you realize it, in one way, shape, or form in life, our mindset is being shaped. So whether or not you realize it consciously, our minds they're being programmed, they're being shaped. When you watch TV, it's called a TV program for a reason, right? It's programming. When you read the newspaper, it's programming. When you talk to your friends or you're around a group of friends, it's programming. And very often, I say to this person, that programming, it doesn't work in line with what you want in your life. It doesn't. So why don't you get the handle of your steering wheel of your mind and you program it how you want to program it? So that's what I'd say. I'd say, no, it's not brainwashing. It's that you are literally having your mind work in the way that you want it to work. It's the work of transformation. We all go through it. Because I say to people, in terms of, how did you learn to walk? Like,
by walking. Walking.
Yeah, by walking. So
yes.
When you first started, so as a child, you kind of looked around. You saw like these people around you who they've been there all of your life. They're doing this thing with this thing underneath their body. They're doing it. You're like, oh, I've got the same thing here, haven't I? And then you kind of get up and you fall down. And you get up and you fall down. You get up and you fall over. You get up and you fall over. After you get it, it's like, oh, I've got it. Boom, you fall over. I've got it. Boom, you fall over.
Look at me. You're
like, oh, I've got it now. So you could say that's what transformation is. It's that you learn and grow through suspending disbelief, acting and doing, and in that process of doing, your brain just switches, and it just gets it. That's really powerful. And then 20, 30, 40 years down the line, you wake up in the morning and you don't think to yourself, oh, how do I walk today? How do I walk again? You just do it without thinking, because now it's unconscious, it's automatic. So that's what I said to that person. It's literally like, what do you want in your life? Do you want to walk, or do you just never want to walk? You choose.
No, true. Totally hear you on that one. And typically, what I usually say to people when they say that is, I usually say to them, "Let me ask you a question. Do you wash your underwear?" Okay, they're like, "What? What do you mean? Yeah. Do you ever wash your clothes? Do you brush your teeth?" Okay, well, to your point, like you said before, if your mind is going to be with you all of your life, you're taking it everywhere, and you're going to wash your underwear and wash your clothes and all these other bits and pieces, surely our minds need a bit of washing every once in a while. So don't sweat it. Get your mind washed so that you can actually move forward and get some of the outcomes that you want. Now, as we are in a post-pandemic world, things are changing. Well, actually, things are changing. Things have changed. They've changed rapidly. They're going to continue to change even more. In your opinion, do you believe that self-development, i.e., reprogramming what we used to think in the old world, so that we have the type of thinking that's going to support us moving forward in the new world with its new rules of engagement and yada yada, do you think that it's still important for individuals to spend and invest time working on self?
I would say 100,000% is the answer to that question. So I'm going to definitely say yes to that. And I'm also going to give my personal example so it doesn't land.
So I'm just going to ask, is like you say, you're definitely going to say, I was hoping there was some consistency between 100,000 and definitely.
So 100,000 is definitely yes.
I'm loving that.
And why I say that, so for my personal experience, when the lockdown first started, and so this is the reason why I say this, I want it to be real, not conceptual, my answer. So I quit where I was working December 2019, right? Yeah. And the dream was, we're going to take over the world. I had the spreadsheets, everything was ready, right? And we got an office in Liverpool Street. We were in the building, we work building with about 200 other businesses each month on average. So the plan was, look, listen, we're going to do sessions in this place and get lots of clients. We're going to smash it. We've got experience in terms of self-development, mindset, coaching, and sales, and having companies grow their sales teams. We're going to smash it. And then there was, on the 23rd of March, there was an announcement that there's this thing called a lockdown. And I was just like, what do you mean lockdown? What, like everything is closed? It's like, yes. So my plans for growing the business is not going to happen. Not like that. It's not going to happen. Wow. Okay. I took off like 2.5 weeks just to recalibrate, just to recharge, just to kind of, for me, just be clear on what we're doing and why we're doing it. And because of the coaching that I had around me, and because of the people that I have around me, we were able to work out what do we do now to deliver on our commitment. And currently, right now, I have 3 coaches and I've got 2 business mentors. So I've got at least 5 people around me that support me with how I think and with how I grow the businesses that I run. Having their input, and with my coach, so I'm a mindset coach. I've got a mindset coach. So I have a mindset coach. I've got a relationship coach. I've got a business coach. And then I've got 2 business mentors. Why is that? Because I know that we have incredible, brilliant ideas. And I want to make sure that we work in line with that and that there's nothing in here that sabotages those ideas. So in this post-pandemic world where things are different, where we have been transformed over this last year and a bit, it takes 6 days to create a new habit. It's not 21. 6 days to create a new habit. We've done that and then some over the last 12, 13 months. So every single person in the UK now has a new habit, right? So for you to be successful,
home, right?
Yeah, it's a new habit. Like you go outside, it's different. You go to Tesco, it's different. When you get on the bus, it's different. So how do you deal with all of that and you don't let it demoralize you? You don't let it collapse in on you and overwhelm you and burn you out. How do you still get up and still go forward? So self-development is massively important. When your mind checks out, so you know that your mind is checked out, and you can grab the steering wheel and say, hey, no, we're going this way, like we agreed. And you go towards your goals. It's massively important, hugely important. That's why, because of the coaches and mentors, and because of my training that I've done over the last few years, that's why 2020 was our best year for the business during the lockdown. Even though we had to literally pivot and change what we initially planned to what we're doing right now. Forget Hench was our best year. 1,000 Black Boys our best year, because of how we pivoted and because of how this was used and because of my coaches and mentors around me.
I think there's a very valid point that you raised there that sometimes often gets overseen by people, which is in order to stay top of your game, the people who are at the top of their game have coaches and mentors too.
100%.
Some people are under the illusion that, oh, if you're at the top of the game, it means you don't need anybody. No, actually, you need loads of people. So similar to you, I have 2 spiritual guides. I have business coaches. I have, I need to get myself confession. I need to get myself a personal coach for the gym because this lockdown hasn't been too kind on the midriff. And I also have many mentors in different areas because that becomes fundamental. And I think also one of the key things, and this is similar to the work that you do, but the work that I do with many businesses and global corporations, which is having that agile mindset, that ability to respond to change, which is accepting that we live in uncertain times.
Yeah.
And the way to deal with uncertain times is, to the language you use, that ability to be able to keep a whole vision of everything that's going on, not be downloaded, not be underweight of all the negative, still see the opportunities, right? And therefore be able to respond and adapt, i.e. pivot, change what you thought you held true before. And that does require a lot of internal dialogue, a lot of awareness, conscious awareness of what we are responding to, recognizing our own biases, the triggers and all those things that play out. And like we said, in this new world, I think that there's going to be some great opportunities for
100%. So to dive, I'm very passionate about this topic. 100%. Like literally, it's definitely is that. And that's coming from somebody. When I first launched my business in the first iteration in 2011, I was arrogant. I said, I don't want no coaches, no mentors, because I'm going to do it all by myself. Because when I'm successful, I can get all the credit, was my thinking. And our year 1 was good. Our second year was a complete disaster. I had to basically put the business to one side and go back to where I was working bef're. They gave me a pay rise. They're like, hey, welcome back. We're really great to have you. Great. Thank you very much for coming back. But I just knew it wasn't me. In hindsight, what I learned the second time when I left was having coaches and mentors and grabbing a hold of this is so powerful. So you've got this business that you want to deliver on, and you just don't feel like getting out of bed. What's going on here? Why? What's going on? You know that you've got clients that want to talk to you, but you're afraid to call them. Or someone saying the thing say along the lines of somebody else is doing the same thing for less, and you don't want to call that person. Where have you got in your mind that you don't want to have that conversation? So having that support to keep pressing forward is massively important. And I would say people that take advantage of it will be successful. It's 2 + 2 is definitely 4. They will be successful. Those that don't will struggle.
Yeah, interesting times ahead of us. So just kind of as we build on that a little bit more. So for you, let me ask you another question then. What do you think is most important to success of somebody's business? Would you say the key to success in business is the idea or the individual's mindset?
Ooh. Okay. Is it okay? I'll answer it this way. Many ways to land on this one. I'll answer it this way. So I'd say move in line with purpose. By purpose, I mean the things that you're passionate about, what your life calling is for. Move in line with that, right? when you move in line with that, you then need to consider at least 3 things when you're going to start a business, at least 3 things. So one would definitely be your knowledge, the things that you know. So knowing your product, knowing your industry, knowing your competitors, knowing all of that stuff. Second thing will be the skills that you need to deliver on that business and on your idea. And then the third part is your mindset, right? So with the mindset, or I call it attitude. So attitude, skill, knowledge. I call it ask. That's our ask model. It's like 3 circles interlocking. So attitude, A, skill, S, knowledge, K, knowledge. So ask. So when you're in line with purpose and you're now moving in line with ask, right? When you have those 3 things working with you, you will be successful. So if you have a great idea, for example, but your mindset is off, it's going to be very, very challenging, because on that journey of so-called success, there will be these things that people call failure. I'm doing this deliberately. People hear failure, they're like, oh, I don't want to fail. It's a part of business, my friend. It's a part of the success journey where you literally fail at certain things and you get it wrong.
Well, it's part of life, isn't it? I mean, going back to your analogy of learning how to walk, right? No child learns to walk straight away. Like, I got this. Hey, look at me. I'm from day one, right? No one does that. And neither do we, fortunately, label it as failure. In fact, because I've got 3 boys, so I can speak from personal experience of this. When they take that first step and they drop, we're like, oh my gosh, well done. Oh my gosh, you want to encourage them. Oh my gosh, you call everybody, hey, come look, they're taking 2 steps. We don't do this one. Go on, son, take that step. Go, oh, no.
Oh, you got to
get it. Just sit there, Joe. Don't put that in. Right, exactly. So that's just life, right? We have to, in order to learn new things, right? Growth comes from learning new things. In order to learn new things, that then presupposes we didn't know it before, which means we ain't going to get it right straight away. That's okay.
Totally. So that's why mindset and attitude is massively important. That's what a coach does, is that ability to deal with success. Because some people are afraid of success. They're afraid of being successful. So to deal with that, then the ability to deal with failure along the journey, to deal with tension, to deal with the unexpected, to deal with uncertainty. There's a quote on my wall to the left. Quote inspires me. It says that the greatest test of courage on earth is to bear defeat without losing heart. When I first heard that quote, I was like, whoa, that's so on point. So the greatest test of courage on earth is to bear defeat without losing heart, by Robert Ingersoll. So that you take this journey, it's just, oh man, it didn't really work. But then you can get up again. You can look around. You can look at, in the actions that I've just taken, what worked, what didn't work, what can I do differently? And then you go again. It's in that realm that success lives. So that's why I definitely say to people, so you can have a...
Is that you and me?
What's that?
Something kept on pinging. I thought that, I was wondering, was that you and me? Carry on.
My phone is pinging.
Oh, wow. It sounded like it was in my room. I'm like, wow, I've got an extra phone somewhere.
Phone's pinging.
There
and it's there it goes, pings again. So it's literally just that.
Put it on silent so we don't get distracted.
Let me just, how do I silence this on my laptop?
What kind of bush phone have you got? Oh, it's in your laptop.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
Let me do this.
No problem. Continue. Just like, oh, there you go.
There we go.
All right, cool. Yep.
Great. So literally, it's like it's just being able to deal with the uncertainty, to deal with the no's, to deal with the uncertainty, to deal with COVID and a lockdown, and everyone's now online. How am I going to do it? To deal with what I call a cover-up. The cover-up would be when we first launched Get Hench, the coaching business. On the face of it, Ade, was you can't quit because you got married last year. On the face of it, so how are you going to pay the bills? That was on the face of it. When I looked underneath it, what was really there was, well, literally, hold on a minute. You're not good enough to go and do your own business, because the last time you went to go run your own business, it failed. So having to deal with what was really underneath and get that out of the way. So got that out of the way. Then further down the line, it was a case of, on the surface was, but your content isn't good enough. But underneath that, what it was saying was, People have got Tony Robbins, you've got Eric Thomas. Who are you? Like, how are you going to do it? So dealing with that imposter syndrome, getting that out of the way and pressing forward. So when I say you can have a brilliant idea, you could be like, this idea is absolutely going to work. We're going to take over the world. If your mind is not working in line with you, you are in trouble. Forget about it. Forget about it. You're just like, for like a word of pain. So having someone to work with you to have that work in line with your dreams and visions is very, very, very powerful. So I'd say mindset is the most important thing. You can have a rubbish idea, but because of your mindset, you will find a solution. I think with PayPal, it was on like maybe like the 16th iteration of PayPal that it got like the payment system. Initially, I was supposed to be like a Palm Pilot, but it didn't quite work. They iterated it. On the 16th attempt, they got it. Amazon is a prime example. Do you know, everybody out there, for the first 7 years of Amazon's trading as a business, for the first 7 years, they made a loss.
I thought it was longer than that. I thought a lot of these companies are like this. They just operate on a loss. But they're rich.
That's like 28 quarters of making a loss.
But getting richer. That's awesome.
But consistently, they were the laughing stock of Wall Street. The papers at the time were laughing at them, saying, look, listen, what a stupid business model. You buy books for $12, sell them for $10. That doesn't make any sense. But they were really clear. I would have said that Jeff Bezos and his team had a very strong mindset. And I guarantee you had coaches and mentors around him to say, this way, let's keep on going. Fast forward to 2021. Who's laughing now? So you can have a brilliant idea and your mindset's off, you're in trouble. You can have a rubbish idea and a brilliant mindset, you'll make it work. You'll be successful.
And let's face it, I mean, many of the people... Yeah, and let's face it, you know, I can relate to that, and I believe many of the people who are on this call, some of you have had some really great ideas, and as I'm saying this, you know that. Some of you, even as I'm saying that you've had great ideas, that idea has popped back up, but guess what you just did? The part of your mind has said, no, that's not a good idea. No, that's rubbish.
Nope.
Some of you have had awesome ideas which could have given you the financial freedom and everything else that you've wanted. But for whatever reason, whether it's the people in your circles, things that you've been told when you were young, things that you're hearing right now that have made you doubt yourself, which means, once again, that voice is still popping up saying, no, he's not talking to you. You're not that person. You've never had anything like that. And that's what we're talking about here. And this really is what every human being goes through. Mm-hmm. And it's that recognition that actually, you know what, just like we're here, if you know that somebody can do something, when we spoke about the child looks around and they see adults doing something, they haven't had any that level of external conditioning to start questioning, oh, walking is not for me. I couldn't do that. That doesn't mean it's not, their brain kind of, it's like, what? I'm having some of that. I'll have some of that. I'll do some of that. But as we go through life, we then end up conditioning ourselves. And what we're talking about here is how do you now reprogram yourself so that when those things which are not of us, not of God, step in and tell us, no, you can't have what you can have, we can override it. You know, totally. For some of you right now, the reason why I'm saying that is I've been there as well. Been there for many years. There's many ideas that I've had that I'm just like, no, that's not for me. And I get to see it out there. Can I share something with you, bro?
Totally, man.
See them scooters, electric scooters that were going around right now. I had that idea about 5-6 years ago. Before I seen it anywhere. So I'm not saying, hey, I'm the only person that had it. But I had that idea. I even worked out, oh, actually, all you need would be a little motor, put that on there. But I discounted myself out of that conversation. How many of us have done that? How many of us are discounting ourselves out of conversation, out of what's been given to us, and then later on we see it, we're like, oh my days, that could have so been mine. And so this is the work that we do to continue to enable us to move forward so that we can overcome that and fulfill our God-given purpose, express that value that we've had. And like you said, key thing here, as we move on to the next questions, many of the successful companies that you see out there, some of them which we call unicorns, that's not what they started out. You've heard Ade say a keyword a number of times, which is a very lean startup term, pivot, which basically means, hey, you start on a process, you review it, see what you learn from that process. You do something small, see what you learn from that process, and then make a decision about, based on what you learn from it, about what's the next best thing that I should try to do. And then in many ways, these guys fall into success. It's just like, boom, here it is. That's the golden nugget. And that's what this process looks like.
Totally.
So, thank you. So Sharia, we've got Sharia. Hey, Sharia here says, thanks for sharing this timely message via podcast. And thanks for the wisdom, Mr. Adeyema.
Adeyema.
Well,
Thank
yeah.
you, Sharia, for giving a go.
No, I think you meant Adeyeba. I must have read it wrong. Failure is part of a business, a part of the success journey. The greatest test of courage on earth is to bear defeat. I didn't get the rest. I pray he repeats it. Good stuff. And then she put, without losing heart by Bonnie Anderson.
It's actually by Robert Ingersoll. Robert Ingersoll said it first. Is an American writer. But yeah, that's it. It's like the greatest test of courage on earth is to bear defeat without losing heart.
And that reminds me of that. Sorry, go on.
It's perfect. And even like I've got quotes to my wall to my right, literally some of the things that we work on with people. So there's one
right,
to my left, actually, over here, this shoulder.
Okay. Yeah, I got confused. I was like, which way am I? I'm confused. Anyway, we are there. It's okay.
And literally, so that's definitely part of the journey. Like you need things around you that support you to keep pressing forwards. Martin Luther King said one, which is that he said, faith is taking the first step without seeing the whole staircase, right? And there's one that he has, which I love, which says that if you can't fly, run. If you can't run, walk. If you can't walk, crawl. But by all means, keep moving.
Keep it moving.
And it's just, it's simple. I'm not saying it's easy. For some people it is, but it's simple. It's that ability to be resilient. But how do you be resilient? And that's what we work with people on. We give them tools that they be resilient. We give them tools that they overcome imposter syndrome, that they overcome the self-sabotage mechanism. They might not even know what those words mean, but it's like you say you want to start a business for the 10th year in a row. You say that you want to make a difference in a particular area, but you keep on saying to yourself, this isn't the right time. I'll do it next year. And that's now been happening for 20 years or 5 years. That is your mindset working in opposition with you. You got to get that dealt with, get that out of the way. Like, don't do that. People need to see your ideas. You'd be so surprised that when you open your mouth, some people will look at you, and they'll be like, wow, that's amazing. You're so inspiring. That's the gift. That's what people need to hear. And when you move in line with that, it pays. It pays. The ideas you have. Here's what I say to people that I work with and coach. I say, it's your cake. You're supposed to eat it. Like, what else do you do with your cake? Yeah, like it's there for you to eat it. Like it's yours. Eat it. Eat your cake. So yeah.
And yeah, I think that's really, really key. And yeah, if it's your cake, eat the thing. If you don't want to eat it, you can send it to my way. I don't mind. I will give my email afterwards. You can send me the cake. But in all fairness, and here's the thing about it. Here's what I'm going to say right now. And I'm speaking to somebody specific out there, right? If when Ade was talking about, actually, you got a great idea, you got something out there that you can take and there's a cake, and if for even a split second you had a voice that popped up and said, no, he's not talking to you, that's what we're talking about. And we all go for that. Can I share something? I'm going to share something. I'm going to be totally vulnerable here. The work that I do typically is working with global organizations. I work at very high executive levels, and I work on global organizations that most people who listen to this, you've either using their products, brands, or services. They call me in to help them with dealing with uncertainty. Typical accounts or projects I work on are anywhere from a few million to a few billion. I get called to various events around the world. So before COVID, flown in to come and speak as a keynote speaker. Why do I share all this with you? Because guess what? I still have to work on my imposter syndrome. So some of this stuff that we're talking about here is not just a one-time fix. This is why Ade and I are saying that we have coaches, because it's a great thing to, okay, I've known this, I worked through this, but we can also fall prey of that overconfidence, and those things can creep back in. Being aware of that, we constantly have coaches that help us to override that help us to constantly have those conversations and understand. And that's what we're encouraging most people, especially in this new world, to have for themselves. So as we start getting closer to wrapping up now, just going to ask you a couple more questions. What does leadership mean to you?
Wow. I would say leadership is being authentic to yourself, fulfilling your life's purpose, fearlessly, boldly pressing forward, and then passing that torch to the next generation. So I definitely say it's about being authentic to yourself, to what you know you're about. Like for me, from a young age, I've always wanted to have my own businesses. Um, I'm not like when I was younger, they'd ask like the question, "What do you want to be when you grow up?" I said I wanted to be a scientist, and I got clearer. I said I want to be an inventor. And then in those days where we had those phones, where you basically turn the phones on, and the phones had a screen greeting. Remember them ones?
Well, the ones that used to come out with the pixels.
Yeah, the pixels.
Hello. Is that the ones that had the snake on it as well? That was the game we used to play, right?
Like you turn them on, the Ericsson, wherever it was, like with the greeting. Mine was
now you're going back, mate. Ericsson.
so mine was like CEO, like the Nokia, the banana phone.
Oh yeah, the banana. I used to love the banana. Hello. Yeah.
And there's a reason why I say this. So when I realized that actually being an inventor is the same thing as being a business owner, because you're inventing it and you're creating ideas. It's the same thing. I was like, oh, so that was always there. So when I say it's about being authentic to yourself, so for me, it's about creating and inspiring people. I just love it. I love it when people that I work with, people that I see, they get to start their businesses. They get to do what they want in life. I got off a call just before this with one of my clients. She works for a council, incredible mother. She's got 3 children. And over the last year, she's really taken herself on. And I've seen her growth, right? She's now doing stuff in terms of launching her businesses, launching her ebook, looking to launch her YouTube channel, doing a management development course where she works in her own time. All of these things. I'm just like, come on, man, that's really good. So for me, that's my leadership.
Sorry. I just had to jump in. What accent was that again?
That was just like, come on, you could do it. Come on. That's just like me, just like a Nigerian dad. Come on, you can do it. And just seeing that, for me, that's leadership. So I'm not trying to be like anybody else. I'm being authentic to me. And growing in that, boldly going towards that. People around me boldly going towards that. And then when it's our turn, we say, hey, next generation, over to you. You're gonna do your thing. So that's what I'd say leadership is.
Okay. Do you think that we lack leadership in the UK Black community?
No. I'd say no. I'd say what I think we lack is visibility for that leadership.
Okay.
Because there's people that I talked to. I was on a call last Thursday with a group of very inspiring Black business owners. I'm sure they wouldn't mind me talking about it. It's called Black Men for Change. And it's different Black men doing different organizations that are about transforming the conversation in the UK for young Black people, for old Black people, for the Black community as a whole. That was inspiring. And I'm also a part of another organization with PwC and the School of Social Entrepreneurs with other Black social entrepreneurs. And that's just the ones I can think of right now. There's others that I'm a part of, where there's these incredible leaders. It's just giving them a platform where you can see that there is Black leadership that's incredibly inspiring. So that's what I'd say.
Awesome. Do you think that we need in the community, and I love what you said there. So in effect, it goes back to one of the key principles. We are all as important to the solution as anybody else.
Totally.
Leadership at different levels. So that's something that I teach within organizations that I work. Leadership at all levels and encouraging that. Do you think that we need a consolidated leadership? So what do I mean by that? Do you think that based on the current situations and some of the experiences within the Black community, do you think that we need a consolidated leader type figure that also helps to align all the great stuff that's happening across our community that's not visible, to bring it together? A bit like this. It's a bit like I don't know the geographical term for it. Geographical term for it. But you know, like when different rivers or streams run into a tributary and then they create kind of like a bigger force.
Sure.
That's what I'm talking. Do you think we need anything like that?
I don't think we need one person for that. Because I think if it's one person or one central figure, it brings up all kinds of problems, all kinds of challenges. I'd say, is the principle of interdependence, where people are interdependent. So they're independent, but they partner together. And it's that community movement where there's various different leaders that are incredibly skilled in different things that come together and collectively provide their leadership as a unit. That, I believe, is more powerful. If it's one person can make a mistake and they can be discredited in the media, or something happens and they're taken out, or something happens and they lose the focus of the vision that they have initially. But if it's multiple people, then that's different. And what I also say, I think that we need to stop looking to one person to be the leader. I think each person that's listening to this needs to realize that they have something in them that other people need. There's people that I can't reach. There's people that you can't reach, Ade. But there's somebody out there that can reach those people. And there's people that person can't reach. Someone else can reach them. But by us collectively partnering together, working together, growing our leadership, that's what's really the key.
And I think that's very fundamental. I think we've seen through other examples throughout history that dependency on one key figure. Also, sometimes the message gets lost in the messenger. So we get more caught up with the messenger. And realistically, we need something sustainable, right? Which is beyond any individual, but it's also aligned. So all of these various organizations. So I like what you mentioned about that organization, and I will hit you up offline to find out more, which is different strengths coming together but working in alignment, which in many ways, if you think about it, that's kind of what we've been talking about with the body and mindset, right? Because you think about it, I'm a human being, I've got arm, hands, all of these things, they all operate separately, they act individually of each other. However, the central coordinator to ensure that we all move in the right direction is the mind. Neither one of them can act independently, they all need each other, but this is what brings them all together. So I guess once again, that's a demonstration of when we're talking about the mindset, the right mindset, meaning we move from one, focusing on individuals, all take responsibility, ensuring that even when we come together in collaboration, it's less than an ego thing, more of an outcome-focused thing so that we can achieve those outcomes. Now, as we start... Go on.
I said perfect.
Okay. Now, you also mentioned that you're a founder of 1,000 Black Boys. Now, tell us a bit about the work you do. I know you've touched on it already, but more importantly, why did you feel the need to start such an organization?
Sure. I mean, the work that we do, so let me share our vision with you. So the vision for 1,000 Black Boys is that we inspire Black boys and young Black men to unleash their potential and live a life of purpose. So we're about that. So we're about that potential being realized.
Before you go on, I'm just going to ask you to do something for me and for some of the listeners who may not kind of get that language. What do you mean by live a life of purpose?
Perfect. So it looks like this. Young Black boy from Hackney has an idea to start a business, but there's circumstances. We want that young Black boy to start that business because that could become the next unicorn, actually the next £1 billion business in the UK business industry. So when that happens, that £1 million business now benefits everybody because everyone gets employed from that. I mean, like Black, white, Indian, everyone gets employed from that because that young Black person is moving in line with purpose, right? It could also be that this young Black person from Croydon starts a new type of social media that we haven't seen before, launches a new type of app. And then the app goes viral and it's now a global phenomenon. Who does that benefit? Everybody. Or a group of young Black boys from West London, they say, what we want to do is we want to climb Mount Everest and we want to literally do like a vlog of the things that we've done and do a podcast about that. And they do that and they write a book about it that inspires a whole generation. That's what we mean. That creativity, that ingenuity becomes realized.
Of course, and I guess to expand on that, purpose can also just include a young black child who is unhappy with what they see socially in their area, in their communities, and takes ownership for that and becomes part of a movement or starts a movement that creates positive change. It could be like we see those guys, and I keep on forgetting their names, that in South London who've now decided to police the community. So people becoming, concerned enough that they actually take some form of action,
Responsibility.
responsibility, and that keeps them coming out. That comes up in my other show as well. Responsibility, 2 words. Responsibility. It is our ability to respond to any circumstance or situation, regardless who created it, because. But I'm going too deep. Carry on, sir.
Yeah, so that's what we do. And what was the part of your question? So how we make that real? What we do in terms of the physical doing part is we organize inspiration events. So with these events, they're designed to give young black boys, young black men, and their parents and guardians hope and inspiration. It sounds really simple, but hope and inspiration is so powerful right now in a season where people are getting demoralized and their mental well-being is being impacted. So that's the first thing. Second thing is we give organizations that are doing brilliant things a platform that people can see them and know what they do. Similar to this, but we want people to see them. And third thing is we now connect these organizations together. That's so powerful. And then number 4 is we provide the young boys and their parents access to mentorship programs, which is also one of the things we do with 1,000 Black Boys. And we do the programs as well within Get Hench. So that's just like an idea. So we do the inspiration events, and now we've also launched the mentorship programs.
Cool. Now, as coaches, one of the key things that we tend to do is when people are starting organizations or starting a business, we help them to explore the problem space so that they can come up with the right solution, or at least be in the right starting place to go through a learning process in a structured, minimal risk way to identify what that solution might be, because we may not know at the beginning of the journey. So going back to my question is, what issues did you see that made you feel actually there's a need to create something like the 1,000 Black Boys? What were you seeing?
So here's what I saw, right? So I looked at the stats. So I'm going to be real here. So the stats that I looked at were, I've still got a paper here. It was 2017. I was on the Victoria line going back home from work, and I saw this newspaper article of a black boy that had been killed in Willesden. A handsome young boy, front page of the Evening Standard. I was just like, it felt like someone took a big sword and just drew it across my chest and stomach. I felt the cut. And I just thought to myself, no, I'm not okay with this. I'm not okay with it. I'm a spiritual person. It's like I felt God say to me, Ademola, what are you going to do about this? You're alive in a time like this. What are you going to do about this? And I was just like, do you know what? I'm going to see what I'm going to do about this. I want to get a move on. And I didn't act on it till the following year. Here's what happened. My nephew goes to a school in East London, and a boy in his class goes to him, says to him, look, listen, you're going to die, right? And after school one time, my nephew bolts out the school gates. He's running. He turns around and he sees the boy chasing him. And he managed to kind of get home. And I asked him in the evening when my sister told me what happened, I asked him, why did you run? He said, because I was scared for my life. And I was just like, how old is my nephew? How old was he at the time? He was 9. The boy was 10. And I just thought, enough. No more. And then about a week afterwards, my colleague that I used to work with, they live in Hackney, and his nephew goes to a school in South London. And there was that you're not from the ends kind of stuff that happened. So there was that kicked off in the same time. And I looked at the stats in 2018 and 2019, from the teenagers in London that were killed. I think in 2019, like 21 teenagers were killed in London. About 16 of those or 15 of those were black boys. So I saw it for 2 years, 70% of teenagers killed in London were black boys. And I just looked at that and I just said, no, I'm not okay with that. I get that there's other challenges. I appreciate that, but I want to transform this conversation. This is not okay. This is not okay for me. I see the exclusion rates in school, like being expelled, and how that feeds the prison pipeline. I see all of these things, and then I talk to these young black boys, young black men. I'm just like, what? You're not troubled. You are incredibly clever. You are incredibly talented. So how do you support that spark to become this incredible business, or incredible businesses, or this incredible new sound, or this incredible new type of social media, or this incredible thing? How do we make that happen? So that's why we exist, and that's why we do what we do.
Yeah, and I really love that. And I really appreciate that. And unfortunately, of course, those stats, we're seeing them. A friend of mine I was speaking to the other day as well, and she was telling me that the projected impact of COVID in terms of unemployment, I'm not sure, so don't quote me on this. Anybody watching, you may know more about this. I'm not sure whether she was quoting figures that are or figures that are about to come, how it's disproportionately impacted the black community, and mainly young black men, in terms of unemployment. And of course, based on what we're seeing right now, it might be a wise assumption to assume that those figures are going to get worse. And like you, I like to look at the connections between the various parts which create an outcome. Mm-hmm. And so if that happens, then that's only going to have more impact on some of the figures that you've spoken about, right? Because more unemployment, more poverty, less access to services, less access to the things that we say or society programs us. Remember, the mindset thing tells us is important, i.e. having a job, having an income, having these things, feeling like a certain type of person. But hey, you're actually telling a whole bunch or generation of children, oh yeah, but that doesn't include you. Yeah, you can stay in the game, but you can't play, right? So we've got to be mindful about the impact of some of these things. And I love what you said there, which is actually taking that ownership at a personal level, which is not necessarily making it's our fault, not being guilty or any of those things, but rather than just looking at it and saying, oh, what a shame, what can we do? What can we do? And on that note, then I then ask the question is, so fast forward 5 years, right? Because you're a visionary. Like me, you're a visionary. Fast forward 5 years. What vision do you have for young black boys in the UK mainly, and for the black community as a whole in the UK? What vision do you hold about what's possible?
Right. So the 20th of April, it's just gone 10 past 9.
I like the way you're putting it. Good.
2026. I'd like, what I see is that the conversation around youth violence, knife crime has disappeared. It's no longer a conversation. We're now talking about the group of young entrepreneurs who've transformed the UK. And I see that Sharia's from the US and transformed the US, that there are multiple unicorn businesses from within the community that's impacting where they live and globally. That's what I see in terms of business. I see that there's now different media companies that are owned by the community, by black people. So they own like different media companies, whether it's social media or what we now call traditional media, that they run it, they own it, that there's now their own ones. And that what we see in terms of music is completely transformed. It's different. It's just different. And there's new types of...
No, stop. Go there. So, because, like, you know, some people might think you're talking about genres. What you mean, garage becomes house or whatnot. Are you talking about some of the more negative, connotated... What are you talking about? Expand it.
Look, listen, so if I can expand on that. So I grew up in the days of Tupac.
Yay! Actually, let me ask you a question before you move on there. I know I can go left, right, and center.
Don't ask this question.
No, I've got to ask this question. Jay-Z, Nas, Biggie, or Tupac?
Tupac.
Okay, fair enough.
Yeah, it's just Tupac for me. And why is that? It's because, for me, I think that music carries a message. So from our background of being African heritage is that the griots would carry messages through communication, through their words. Music carries a message. It carries a message from one place to another place. It carries a message from one generation to another generation. So there's a power in that genre that we call music. And for me,
And also, just to jump in as well, that goes back to another word, key part that we spoke about before when we spoke about programming. For
yeah,
the audience, be mindful. Music is also another form of programming, which is why it's not any mistake that some of this negative music that we're hearing is being played for nearly 20, 30 years now, repetitively to our young people. And in the communities of those people push that music out, they typically ban it and say, no, this is like a public enemy number one. Remember when Eminem was made public enemy number one by white America? They're like, no, our children can't be hearing this stuff. It's really bad for them. He's a public enemy number one. And they even took him to court for it, for being a rapper. But anyway, carry on.
remember that part. You're right, because the thing with music, for those that are listening, music is the only genre of in the human sphere that bypasses the conscious mind. So you can hear a song, you don't have to consciously agree to it, and it bypasses your logical thinking. It goes straight into your unconscious. I'll prove it to you. You might just hear a song in passing once, and then a few months later, you hear just the first 2 seconds of it, and you know exactly which song it is. Or there's a song that you haven't heard in about 20 years. Me and Ade play you the first 2 seconds, and you're just like, oh, that's my jam. You're just dancing to it. So where was that song stored before you heard it? It was in your unconscious. So music bypasses the conscious mind into the unconscious. So I'd like that genre to be completely different, that it's one that reinforces the positive self-image of young black boys, young black men, young black women, young black girls. That's what I like to see in that space.
Awesome. And I think that's really powerful, and I really appreciate that. And it's also worth noting for some who may not be aware, and it's not to say that the positive music doesn't exist. In fact, it exists abundantly within the black community. Unfortunately, the way that it's been commercialized and where the money comes in and where the promotion is given is to some of that negative stuff that we hear. The blings, the women, the same old story again. So then once again, we need to question and ask why. What's the agenda there? And what is the end result? Especially based on what Ade's just shared there, that actually music bypasses your logic and rationale. You hear it enough, it's already programmed in, and before you know it, you're acting and behaving in a certain way. Cool. How can people get behind you or get behind 100 black boys, 1,000 black boys? Sorry, keep on playing back 100 black men of London in my head. So that's 1,000 black boys.
And get Hench.
There.
I mean, so if it's okay, I will. So with 1,000 Black Boys, you can find us literally just Google 1,000 Black Boys. Our website is 1000blackboys.com, and you can use that one as well. You can use the www. There's 1000blackboys.com. So literally, oh, someone's calling me. Let me just send them to that thing, right? So literally, you can find us online through that. We're also on Instagram. You can find us on Twitter, and you can also find us on YouTube through that. And if you follow us on those platforms, especially on Instagram, come along to our next event on the 22nd of May. It's a Saturday. It's going to be streamed live on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter. So you can watch it for free. So even from the US, you can watch it, Sharia. So you can join us. So that's how you get hold of us with 1,000 Black Boys. With Get Hench, Get Hench is just simply gethench.co.uk. You can also find us similarly on Instagram at get_hench. You can find us on Twitter, on Facebook. Also, I've joined this thing called Clubhouse. Actually, me and Ade are going to probably do like another session on Clubhouse very, very soon. So find us on Clubhouse. And also, we're going to share a link. So with
you need to let them know as well. You can only get on Clubhouse if you've got like an iPhone, because Androids they're not supported yet.
Okay. So if you have like exactly as Ade said, if you've got an iPhone, you can go into this app called Clubhouse. I'll be there tomorrow, for example, 3 p.m. UK time. So join us on there as well. And on Clubhouse, I'm just literally like my first name, my last name. So at Ademola Adeyeba. And there I am on Clubhouse. And also, we're going to share a link, if it's okay, with those people that are listening. So with Get Hench, we've just launched we've launched our program. So we've launched our coaching program for entrepreneurs, and we've also launched our coaching program. So literally for entrepreneurs, founders, and business owners. And maybe those that do a 9 to 5, you work in an office as a professional, but you've got like a vision. You've got somebody you want to work towards. Fill out that form, reach out to us, have a conversation with us, and we can find out which one of our program would be a good fit for you. I love doing that. There's a whole team that supports me to make it happen, make it a reality. So that's really picking up a head of steam. I've got time in the diary to talk to people tomorrow, tomorrow's Wednesday. So Wednesday and Thursday. So fill out that form, have a chat with us. If anything I've said resonates, don't sit around and wait for some point in the future, someday, one day, when all of a sudden you now feel like living the life that you want. And you think, today is perfect. Don't wait for that. Let's go now. Perfection is an absolute illusion. It's through action that clarity comes. You don't sit there and all of a sudden there's complete clarity on, oh, my business will be like this and I'm going to do that. And here's this really incredible spreadsheet. It's not that. It's through acting that you produce the results. So that program that we created 2 programs that will take you on that journey. And why do I say this thing about action? It's because the only thing that moves reality is action. And I'll say this, as a business person, as a founder, as a business owner, somebody with an idea or with a vision, if you'd written a business plan in 2019, there's not one person that would have written the coronavirus in their business plan. You wouldn't have written lockdowns into your business plan. You wouldn't have done, because you haven't experienced before in your life. So you wouldn't have written that into your plan. So having a plan is good. And then it's literally about how do you work stuff out and deal with what life brings your way. The people that do that will produce results. I know I'm doing it. People I'm working with are doing it. So come and join us.
Awesome. Yep. And action is always the key, right? It's actually moving, it's taking steps. Like we said, all of these companies, all of the people that you see out there who's successful have all taken steps towards getting it. I can't remember who says it, but to me, I think that statement really sums it up, which is, maybe somebody knows, somebody can to look it up, but basically it takes 20 years to become an overnight success. Everybody that you see, nobody just pops up and it happens. You might not see them and know anything about them, and it may seem that, oh my gosh, only overnight did they come into your awareness based on what they've achieved. But believe you me, there's a price that they've paid in full, up front, in the background, some of them for many, many years, which is constantly moving, taking those small steps till they get there. So wherever you're at in your life journey, whatever you're experiencing right now, know that that's okay. That's your starting point, right? That's okay. You're going to find out that all of us and all successful people have been there. The key to getting to where you want is to be able to overcome where you are right now and to be persistent and consistent in moving forward, because there is no perfect day. Let's face it. We'll keep on putting stuff off until whenever, right? And it's not about what's out there. It's about what's in here. It's not about us waiting for the right conditions out there. It's about us creating the right conditions from in here.
Totally.
Awesome.
Go just as well. That's okay.
Say again?
Can I just one more thing?
Sure, you may.
Thank you. So I'm looking directly to those of you that are out there. I can't see you, but I know you can see me. For those of you that watch this afterwards, so the link that Ad has just shared, if anything that I've said resonates with you, get in touch with us. So don't wait for the right conditions. If this is saying to you, I'm not sure this is the right time, that's the thing to get past. That's the thing to get past. Because I always think about when it's my 75th birthday and I'm there with my children, grandchildren, great-great-grandchildren, what would I like to have achieved? What would I like to have completed? And if what you're doing today, if you do a similar thing and what you're doing today is not going to get you to where you want to get to, you're wasting time. Don't sit around and just kind of watch the news all your life. Yeah. Do something with your life. And one action is fill out that form, answer our questions, reach out to us. Let's have a conversation.
Cool. Let me just quickly pull that up again. So here's the form where you go, fill that out. See what's up. I mean, look, you owe it to yourself, right? Especially after, let's face it, let's just be real here. Especially after the last year and a bit we've all had, right? We all
Exactly.
owe it to ourselves, not
Totally,
just
man.
to splash out. I mean, I loved it when the barbers opened. Well,
Oof.
anyway, yeah, it's like great. I mean, it's the first time I could go through the front door of the barber shop in over a year. Enough said. I'm taking the Fifth Amendment. But anyway, so, but it's also, many of us are looking to go out and splash out on ourselves. Rightfully so, we deserve it. Treat ourselves to new outfits, go on holidays, go on all those things that we deserve. But surely you also deserve an investment in yourself. Like Benjamin Franklin said, investment in knowledge pays the best dividends. So you're worth it, right? You are worth more than the clothes, the holiday, than the car, than anything that you could have in your life. You are the key. And so all we're saying here is invest in yourself. Some of these things are not going to cost you a penny. But once you start that journey and then you start seeing who you are and what you can do and what you can achieve, I mean, that's fundamental. And one of the great things I would say personally for me, even though that we've been through a lockdown, even though the future is uncertain, guess what, Ade? I am in a space where I have got the most important thing for me right now, which is peace of mind.
It's
I'm
important.
okay that no matter what happens, no matter if they want to lock us down again, no matter what comes next, right? Through my faith in God and recognizing that through that also and through experiences that I've been through, it's just recognizing that, okay, it is what it is. Because I can, to some degree, capture the thoughts here. There's a lot more work to do, and let me be clear. So we're all on a journey, and there's a lot more work to do. But peace of mind is going to be fundamental
Huge.
in this
So
new world.
what I say to people as well is like, if you're still breathing, you are still in the game. If you wake up and you draw breath, you're still in the game. It's not time to tap out. It's just having the right support structure around you to keep you on that journey. So, regardless of what the news might give at you, regardless of what you might see with your physical senses, if you're still drawing breath, it means you're still in the game. And what Ade and I are saying is, come on this journey with us. We're here to support people. Like the things that we do, they're not free. We're world class at what we do, but we do it from a place of we want people to have really brilliant lives. I say I do what I do because I want people to be unleashed into their greatness and I want them to become purpose. I want them to be their awesome. That's why we do coaching. That's why we do what we do. That's why I came on to tonight's session. I've got a back-to-back schedule after this. I've got another call. I've got a gym session. I've got a fitness session after this. Bed by midnight, thereabouts. And then tomorrow we go again. But I wanted to be on here to make a difference. So if you're still breathing, you are still in the game. And I'll probably close it off. So what I say to everyone is, thank you for being on and be your awesome.
Exactly. Be your awesome and get out there and kick some butt. I'm sorry to have to say that, but I feel passionate about it as well, right? You know, let's not play second fiddle anymore. The world needs people who are going to go out there and make a significant change. And like we said, just as we look to other individuals and inspire them, all of us can also be an inspiration to other people. And like I said, don't feel the need to do it alone. I think the key thing you said there is the support. And that's why we mentioned before that I have spiritual coaches, you have coaches, I have business coaches, mentors, because I recognize I can't do this alone. Yes, I am blessed that God is blessing me and God is in my life and taking me on a journey. And also I have some key individuals who help me to keep on track. When I stumble, when I lose my way, when I get to that point where I sit down and I'm like, oh, man, I can't go no more, man. I'm taking a beating, right? They're the ones like, no, dude, get up, get going. Because life happens. Life is real, okay? Life is real. Last question for you, Bo, as we wrap this up. What motivates you?
Oh, wow. Ooh. I'm going to give you the authentic answer to myself. So I'm a spiritual person. So I'm a Christian. Some of you will hear that as religious, but for me, it's not. So I think about, because I've got an imagination, I think about when I meet my Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. So I meet Christ, like I'm there, I'm in heaven, I'm like meeting God. And like, hey, Ademola, what did you do when you were out there on this earth thing? And I kind of figured, when I get asked that question, and I say, well, I didn't do X, Y, and Z because I was afraid, or I didn't do that because of COVID, or I didn't do that because my name is Ademola Adeyeba and people couldn't pronounce my name properly because I was in the UK. I kind of figured that's not really going to cut it. My imagination goes to, I'll probably say that to Jesus, and he probably look at me with like a straight face because he's like a good guy. He's not going to laugh at me. But behind him, I'm going to see the 24 elders, the angels, and them just like laughing and giggling like, he sold out because he just basically was afraid. He didn't do it because he was afraid. So I kind of figured that's not going to cut it, right? So for me, it's about how do I live a life that's fulfilling? How do I do the things that I'm here to do? How do I make a difference and impact lives? Because I love people. I love human beings. I want them to literally, like have a life that's really great, a life where they are living true to their dreams. So those are the things that motivate me. Those things really inspire me because from that place, everything works.
Cool. And I really appreciate that. And your actions are doing that, right? You are showing up. You are aspiring. You're taking ownership for the stuff in your life and the stuff in your world, i.e. the world that we live in, right? And you're moving forward boldly, courageously, and on that journey, you're moving and inspiring other people to do the same. So, which is great, and totally hear you on that as well. Because ultimately, when we do come before God, and as a Christian myself, and once again, similar to Ade, it's not from a religious point of view. It's more from a deep spiritual, personal relationship with God. And God may mean whatever it means to you. That's okay, because God will take us on our own journey for that revelation. But it's just recognizing that actually, you know what? We are blessed to be a blessing. And that's why we emphasize, look, you have everything that you need already. And that's where that faith piece comes in. Sometimes, and I have to do it often, I'm sure you do as well, Ade, whereby things just don't add up. I look around me, things don't add up. The money in the bank ain't going to reach that vision. The challenges that are going on, it's just not going to happen. But it does happen. And that's how, when we continue to walk in that way, we can build that and then inspire, touch, move, and make some significant differences within our communities. Awesome. So we start closing off right now. So once again, thank everybody for joining us. Get on down to circulate.co.uk, where there's a business directory for Black UK-based businesses. So this is just, once again, one of the ways that we're supporting the economics within the Black community. We like to emphasize that this is not an exclusive thing. So it's not excluding anybody. All really this is about is like-minded people who understand that we live in the world where we are connected beyond color, race, creed, and all those other bits and pieces that are used for division. That when we can come together, we can make a significant impact on not just our lives, but the lives around us. And for me, that's a worthwhile journey. So feel free to get on down there. You can follow us on YouTube as well, Circulate. We are on Insta at Circulate the Black Pound. And then if you pop over to Facebook, you just type in Circulate group, you can join the group there. And so as we wrap up right now, once again, Ade, I just want to say thank you. Really appreciate all the great wisdom that you shared. If anybody needs to get hold of Ade, here's his email. So Ademola at gethench.co.uk.
Yeah.
Reach out to him. And yeah, just reach out to me. Like we said, this is really all about change. We live in a world of change. I like to say this, and I'm going to leave this with everybody right now. The only constant in life is change. The flip side to that is this. We can never stay still in life. We may choose to not move forward, but guess what happens? Apathy steps in. I think that's the right word. But what happens is, even when you stay in that same point, because everything is moving, you end up falling back already. That's just the way that life works. So the only option is, do you keep moving forward? And you can do that with intent, with power, with alignment and integrity. And just, yeah, we're there to support. Feel free to have that journey. So in closing, Ade, just want to say once again, thank you very much. And to everybody who's listening, thank you for being on. And to Ade's point, do you want to tell them what they need to be again?
Totally. B, you're awesome.